Welcome to This Explainer. Look, today we're going to completely shift how you think about driving, not just in the dead of winter, but all year round. Whether you're a seasoned cold weather commuter or you just, occasionally face a frosty morning, what we're unpacking today is absolutely going to change how you look at the road ahead. Here's our game plan for today. We're going to cover defining treacherous conditions, navigating visible winter hazards, spotting invisible ice, your essential winter toolkit, and finally, year-round slipperiness. Let's just dive right in.
All right, Section 1, defining treacherous road conditions.
So, let's flip a really common assumption totally on its head. You'd naturally think a massive, blinding snowstorm is the ultimate danger, right? Like it's the worst-case scenario. But actually, according to the data, a truly treacherous situation is all about deception. See, when there's a ton of snow out there, most of us instinctively drive super carefully. We leave huge safety margins. Because the danger is literally staring you in the face, it's technically classified as not treacherous. Crazy, right? The real peril strikes when the slipperiness is hidden. Picture this. It's a beautiful autumn day. The first ice of the season just formed, and everyone is just cruising along normally. If you hit a hidden patch of ice going 90 kilometers an hour, the outcome can be absolutely disastrous. Basically, if the danger is hidden, that's when it's truly treacherous. Moving right along to Section 2, navigating visible winter hazards. Okay, so let's look at the hazards you can see but might actually be completely misjudging. This is a perfect example of the illusion of safety. Say you're driving in a lane where other cars have carved out these nice, clear snow tracks. Inside those tracks, your tires are gripping pretty well, and you're probably feeling a bit of false confidence. But what happens if you decide to overtake that slow truck in front of you? Well, the exact second you steer out of those established tracks and into the untouched snow and slush, you risk losing your grip entirely. It's like stepping off a rubber mat onto an ice rink. So the golden rule here? Just avoid overtaking altogether in these specific conditions. It's really not worth the risk. Now, picture driving in deep, heavy snow where all the normal road markings have completely vanished. It's super tempting to just follow the tracks left by a snowplow, isn't it? Well, you've got to be aware of this thing called broad snowplowing. Basically, sometimes the snowplow actually drives right off the paved road surface. If you blindly follow its path and drift too far to the right, you could literally sink right into a snowy ditch. Seriously, always look for those tall snow markers on the edge of the road. They are your only real guide to how wide the actual road is. There are a couple of other visible hazards that play major tricks on your eyes. First up is freezing rain. When the temperature is hovering right around 0 degrees Celsius, rain can freeze the absolute second it hits the asphalt. This is incredibly dangerous because it just masquerades as normal, harmless rain. You won't even realize the road has turned into a giant, frictionless sheet of ice until it's way too late. The second hazard is what we call snow smoke. When it's freezing out and freshly snowing, the tires of the car ahead of you will kick up this blinding cloud of loose snow. If you see that snow smoke, that's your immediate cue to back way off and give them a massive following distance. All right, on to Section 3, spotting the invisible ice. This part is fascinating because we're going to train your senses to spot ice you literally cannot see. You've got to use logic and your ears, not just your eyes. Here are your crucial warning signs. First, keep an eye on that thermometer. Any temperature below +4 degrees Celsius means ice is officially on the menu. Next, listen closely. If the road looks wet, but you hear this eerie lack of splashing sounds from under your car, that silence is practically screaming at you that the water is frozen solid. You also need to anticipate where this stuff hides. Pay close attention at junctions where stopping and starting cars densely pack the snow down into a slick, icy runway. And keep your radar up for shaded curves the sun hasn't hit yet, or bridges and viaducts. Bridges are notorious for freezing super fast because they get hit with freezing air from both above and below. Which brings us to Section 4, your essential winter toolkit. So what happens if the worst actually happens? And these hidden dangers win, and you end up stuck in a ditch on some freezing, isolated road. The reality is, so many of us hop into our cars in the dead of winter wearing like a light jacket or even summer clothes, just because the car heater works great. But think about the worst case scenario. If you slide off the road and your engine dies, that cozy cabin heat vanishes incredibly fast. I mean, within minutes, you are totally vulnerable to freezing temperatures, just sitting there, waiting for a tow truck that could take hours to show up. To survive a wait like that, you absolutely have to pack an essential toolkit. No excuses, it's totally non-negotiable. You need warm clothes and solid, proper shoes stashed in your trunk. Make sure you have your mobile phone to call for help, obviously. A snow shovel and a tow line are complete game changers if there's any chance of pulling your car out. You also need a high visibility vest. This is so important so other drivers don't accidentally hit you in that dim winter light. And of course, throw in some starter cables for a dead battery and a heavy-duty ice scraper. Having this gear ready can literally mean the difference between a frustrating delay and a truly fatal situation. Okay, our final section, Section 5, year-round slipperiness. Just when you think you're totally safe because all the winter snow has finally melted, the threat of a slippery road doesn't actually vanish. It just kind of evolves. Let's track this throughout the year. In early spring, the days are getting nice and warm, but the nights, still icy cold. That means the melting snow from the afternoon turns into invisible black ice in the shadows overnight. Then in the dead of summer, extreme heat can actually melt the tar right out of the asphalt, making it incredibly slick. Plus, when it finally rains after a long dry spell, all that washed up oil and dirt gets brought to the surface, creating this super slippery film. And then comes autumn, bringing the season's first unexpected ice, agricultural dirt dragged onto the road by tractors, and, well, falling leaves. Seriously, a pretty innocent-looking autumn road can turn into a slick winter ice rink in a heartbeat. Those wet leaves you see piling up on the cobblestones, they basically act like a lubricating layer between your tires and the road surface, which severely extends your braking distance. Okay, before we wrap up this explainer, let's test those new instincts of yours. Imagine you're driving, you pull up to a really busy junction, and you see that the snow on the ground has been driven over so much that it's worn totally smooth by all the passing cars. What do you think? Is that compressed snow good or bad for your tire grip? Take a second and think about it. The answer, it's bad. Really, really bad. That compressed snow has been crushed under the hard pressure of vehicles constantly braking and accelerating, and it basically behaves exactly like solid ice. Think about walking in a winter wonderland. Trudging through fresh, deep, loose snow takes some effort, right? But you rarely slip because your boots dig in and find grip. But if you step onto a patch of snow that's been packed down and polished flat by hundreds of footsteps, bam, your feet fly right out from under you. Your car's tires experience that exact same thing. Loose snow gives you grip, compressed snow acts just like solid ice. As we finish up this explainer, I want to leave you with one absolutely critical thought. Obvious snow and massive blizzards naturally make us cautious, but it is the invisible ice, the false security of those perfectly formed snow tracks, and the deceptive summer rains that truly demand your utmost attention. The most dangerous road is almost always the one that looks perfectly safe. So the next time you get behind the wheel, ask yourself, are you truly reading the road, or are you just assuming it's safe? Stay sharp out there, pack your winter kit, and travel safely.